Hello and welcome to this podcast for Informed Planet Radio on this Wednesday, January 21st, 2015. And today I have the great pleasure of talking with Jurica Jelic AKA Georg on informedplanet.org. So today we're going to talk about his music and his career as a musician in Croatia. So, hello Georg, how are you doing today?
Well, first of all, hello and thank you for having me on this podcast. And I'm doing fine. I just had a nap and I'm all ready for this.
You're all ready for this. Well, that's very, very cool. Listen, I've listened to you, a couple of your musical pieces there, and what really struck me was that first movement of that symphony you started writing that you put on YouTube. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And how did it come about that you started to write music like this, like for orchestra and all that? How did it come about?
Well, it's in one way, it's a form of misfortune for me, and and it happened accidentally. Before I started writing music for other ensembles and orchestras, I was very heavily into performing as a solo performing artist and with bands. So in 2010, just when my career kind of started, I had some health issues. So I had to spend a lot of time at home. I had to quit performing for a while, and then I just started writing music down. I didn't quit music. I said, okay, I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on being a composer. And along those lines, since I am completely independent from all the academia or from mainstream pop music world, I had an opportunity to explore music in every aspect and on every level and make my own rules, basically. So, yeah.
Okay, so that's really interesting. And I did see the pic you posted about the cello that you built. It's quite amazing. I mean, that cello looks like a professional instrument. So you really have a lot of talent to build your own instruments. Did you ever build? What other instrument have you built?
Well, basically, right now I'm mostly into building exotic instruments, the ones that you can't find in the store. For example, I made some fretless guitars. I converted some fretless guitars. I made an electric cello, and one of my latest and currently favorite instrument is African bass, which is a combination of Moroccan santir and bass guitar. And it's basically, in order to explore music more, I like to make combination of many traditional instruments and modern instruments into new ones. So my next album that I'm working on is gonna be mainly based on that new instrument that I built. So basically, I live in a very small town. I work part-time, so I have a lot of free time. So basically, but since I have a lot of free time, I don't have enough funds, nor do I have enough places to get instruments. So I have to use my knowledge and resources to make my own. So I kind of made the best of the situation that I'm in.
And I noticed as well that you have been interviewed on Croatian national TV. What was that all about?
Well, every once in a while, Croatian TV shows interest in me or some of my bands. Latest interview was on national TV. I performed and organized the international festival of microtonal music. We'll get to it later, what microtonal music really is. But it was an international festival in Croatia, one of its kind in Southern Europe. There are no other, to my knowledge, microtonal festivals in Southern Europe. So I had performance from Holland, Turkey, a couple of them from U.S., Germany, Kosovo, Bosnia. So we had a week together and we performed for the public on old medieval fortress where I work as my day job. So yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. So what inspired you? Because I'm still coming back to that symphony because I find it absolutely beautiful. It's fresh. It's it's really it's something new. It's something that's not mainstream. Even though I mean we can't consider Beethoven mainstream, but it's been played so many times.
Yeah.
But your music is really original, and there looks to be like different tempos in it, and it's all mixed together, and it's truly amazing. Could you walk us through your mindset when you started to compose that musical piece?
Or here's the deal with my entire music. My music and basic elements of my music are completely different than anything that you hear on radio. First of all, let's start with tuning. In my music, in every form that I make, I don't use 12-tone equal temperament. I use other tunings and temperaments like just intonation so I can get those natural right tones. I use Pythagorean tuning. I use medieval tunings. I use my own tunings. And that symphony that you were saying, it's very special because it's polymicrotonal and polyrhythmical, which means every section of an orchestra plays in different tuning or temperament and plays in different meter. For example, root note. There's a root note that goes throughout the entire symphony. It's A sharp, if I'm not wrong. It's been 2 years since I wrote that. And every section, brass section, plays one tuning and 1 meter. For example, woodwind section plays 24 equal tones, notes in octave instead of 12, but in 4 fours. Strings use Pythagorean tuning and meter is 7/8, and so that's why everything overlaps. But since there's a root note that goes through it all, it's all kind of connected. It gets that organic feeling. First of all, tunings are more organic, more natural, because entire music that we hear these days on radio and everything, it's completely out of tune. It's completely been wrecked. But also, in a way, as you look at the tree in nature, it has branches, but not a single branch is the same. They're all different. They have different shapes. It's all fractal and everything, but every branch is different. That's what I wanted to make. That's why it's called Hinterland Symphony. And once I finish this third movement, it basically represents natural sights and natural surroundings that I see every day and that actually inspire me.
Okay, so if I hear you correctly, are you suggesting that are we talking about the 440 hertz here? That's maybe no, we're not talking about this. It's the tuning.
It goes even deeper. That's what I wanted to say. Like, Uninformed Planet on Facebook and everywhere around the internet, I see this thing: transpose your music from 440 hertz down to 432, and you'll get more resonant music. Actually, no, you won't, because first of all, entire Western music is written in 12-tone equal temperament, so every note within the tuning is out of tune, from natural harmonic tuning. That's the first thing. So basically, if you transpose to 433, a note will be resonant and nice and probably has some healing properties. I do believe in healing properties in sound. but other 11 notes will be out of tune. And there's a very high chance that piece of music that you are listening doesn't have an A note in it at all. You know, so basically that's it. Basically we're using equal temperament, but there's a good reason for it. We use equal temperament today just so we can play the same melody in 12 different keys. If you use just intonation, you can just play melody from one key. And for example, Indian music uses just intonation. And you may have noticed that entire Indian music has one key. There's one drone in the background. It goes all the way. Arabic music too. They have systems of maqams where certain forms of modulation of key does happen, but basically it doesn't step away from the basic root note. It all comes down through the history. Basically, I won't get too complicated with this, but basically people realized some time ago in the past, if you have a bamboo stick or if you have a string and you stretch the string between two poles, and if you pluck the string, that string will produce a sound. Along the ways, they realized if you shorten the length of that string, like when you press the fingerboard on cello, pitch of the string will go up. Along the musical and experiments, people developed mathematics. So someone said, well, what happens if you divide string in half? Just give me a second, I have my bass with you, so I want to show you.
Okay.
Okay, here's the bass. I don't know if you guys can hear it. If you pluck a string, you have a note.
Yes.
C note. If you divide that string in half, you get an octave. So basically, when you divide string in half, length is twice smaller, but the pitch is twice higher. So, for example, note A in modern concert pitch is 440 hertz. So basically, when you play an octave, it's 880. So people went on. What happens if you divide string in 3 parts? You get a fifth. In 4 parts, you get a fourth. And if you go on, you get major third, minor third, major second, and so basically they got this. And as you can see, this sounds out of tune. I have a fretless instrument, so I can show it to you. This sounds out of tune to people, but this, what I'm playing right now, it's actually perfectly mathematically tuned. It's in perfect mathematical ratio. This is 2/1, this is 3/2, 4/3, 5/4. So I'm just going to play you tempered scale and just scale. You can hear the difference. And once you have just scale, you have perfect notes that vibrate in mathematical resonance. But if you want to modulate the key, entire system will go out of tune. If I want to change G to A, it's going to sound like you can't use it anymore. That's why people decided to experiment with different tunings and temperaments so they can use more keys. You can even write music in 24 keys within the octave. 24 tones and keys within the octave.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you did say that the A note was the only possible note that would maybe have healing properties if tuned down to 430 hertz. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Other notes don't have perfect mathematical relationships to that frequency, so basically it will be out of tune. And it will have more dissonance within the harmonics inside the tone and doesn't work well. And there's another aspect: if you use a software to tune down the piece of If you transpose frequency, you'll ruin the spectrum of the recording. Basically, cymbals will be ruined, and drums and everything else. So basically, you transpose entire spectrum of the recording. So what we need to do instead of transposing music, and this is kind of liberating in a way, because we're at this edge tip point where the world is changing, people are waking up, people need to realize music has been hijacked on all sorts of levels, and even to its building block, tuning. Basically, we need to start composing new music with differently tuned instruments that's more in tune with the universe itself.
Oh, fascinating. Maybe it would be time to introduce a song you composed, or a piece of music that you composed. What would be the first one that you would like to share with the listeners here?
Well, since we started talking about it, we could play first movement from my polymicrotonal and polyrhythmical symphony, Hinterland Symphony, first movement.
Okay, so we're gonna play that right away. Okay, and we are back. My name is Jean-François, and we continue this podcast with Jurica Jelic, also known as George, on informedplanet.org. And this podcast will be on informedplanetradio.com, of course. So that was really awesome. I mean, this musical piece is like it really touches me, because I also compose music, but it's more. I have influences from Rachmaninoff and Beethoven. I might be a mix of the two, but your music is like it just blew me away. This movement just it's beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, more people should know about this. And I will provide the link at the bottom of the YouTube version that I will upload, so people will be able to subscribe to your channel on YouTube. Explain a little bit more. I'd like to pick your brain up how you prepare when you sit down and you want to compose something. Where do you start? I mean, do you have a melody that, or do you have notes that fly in your mind, or how does it work? I'd like to know how it comes to you. Is it by looking at nature? Is it by I know you talked briefly about it a little bit before the musical pause, but I really want maybe to go deeper to see your soul. How can I say this? Really, how you see it, how you see the music. Do you hear it in your head, or is it I don't know, images? How does it work?
A lot of people ask me that, and I have a hard time explaining that to myself even. I don't hear music. I don't see images. I see and feel emotional texture and overlap of emotional textures in my mind. It's kind of, when you look at the sea and you have different waves that overlap over each other, or
Yes, yes, yes.
or I don't know, trees, or I don't know. That's just an example. In same way, when we experience the world, we have the same emotions, have similar behavior. You have one emotion and another comes over it, and they overlap. One wins, the other loses, and the third one uh, consumes it all. And in a way, for me, that's how I see music. And notes are just keys. Uh, I think of it this way. Music is an emotional texture for me, and musical notes and different tunings and everything are just encryption keys in order to unlock those emotions and transpose them on paper and sound and share it with others. So
So that means that your your emotional perception or your emotional status uh, translates into melodies.
yeah, in certain way, but melody is one part of music. You have rhythm, you have harmony, you have melody, you have texture, you have orchestration, and all those things. And depends on situation. I'll think about it. What instrumentation I'm going to give to certain emotion, and it becomes really hard when I write pieces for solo guitar. Um, for, Classical fretless guitar is my main instrument, so I write lots of music for it. And basically, it's really hard. It gets harder. Actually, it all depends on what are you writing for. If you're writing for an orchestra, you can't really have a same mindset as if you are writing for a solo instrument. It's, Writing for solo instruments, for me, it's most hardest thing to do because uh, there's so much to explain just for one instrument. So it's kind of harder. But basically, I try to give musical significance to my emotional response to that happens inside me. Basically, music for me is just sonified version of my emotional perception. I don't know how to say it. I think that's
I understand. I understand. Me on a personal note, me I hear the music and I reproduce it on my synth. I have a roll in here, and that's the way I compose. But from your perspective, I'm absolutely fascinated because it's like it works with emotions, it works with perception, emotional status. It's simply beautiful. Uh, did when was the last concert you? When was your last concert and where was it?
my last concert was in Knin, Croatia, my hometown. We had a festival of rural culture. It sounds like tractors and machines, but it's not. It's a lot of people that care about environment, that care about everything in our surroundings, and there's this ecological association, and they organize it every year. So I had a performance. There was like 150 people and just me with classical fretless guitar performing my Arabic/flamenco compositions. It was next to a river, and it was summertime, and it was really nice. So that's the last concert, and I should be doing more concerts next year. I miss performing. I performed a lot before. And it's a really good exchange of energy. I mean, when you perform in front of an audience, music really comes to life. Like I always say, music is not organized sound, and music is not things that you read your Music 101 textbooks. On its basic level, music is an exchange of energy, and and it works really great when you have live audience.
I see. So when you talk about next year, are we talking 2016 or 2015 right
Sorry, I'm still in 2014.
now? So you probably going to start again in 2015?
2015. But it's rather hard because economy in Croatia is pretty bad, and it's getting worse around the Western world at all. So clubs are closing, venues are closing. There isn't many places to play anymore, so it's a little bit harder. When I was 22, I played all the time, and people had money to fund it. These days, no way. So that's the biggest problem right now: how to get funding. It's not that I make music for money. If I had extra money, I would play for free, but I can't afford that too. So basically, we'll see how things go and if there are any options open for going somewhere or something. So that would be fun. But I think I should, when it comes to my solo, my crotonal work in different tunings and temperaments, I should really try to push it where it should be as a new music for maybe new age that's coming, a new change, and I would like to drag in more musicians that most of musicians don't have a clue about other tunings. They buy textbooks for equal temperament that are in every school. They buy electric guitar or piano in the store. They're equally tempered. I mean, you do have a piano, and I know Roland pianos have tuning banks. So if you check the manual, you'll see just intonation. Try to retune it and see how it sounds. That would be a good experiment to try. But I'm just telling you, most of musicians have no idea about it, and we have to really, like I always say, we really have to take music back from the government-funded academias, from mainstream companies that put out something. I won't call it crap. Crap, it's a bad word. Something that hurts people. Mainstream music hurts people in so many levels, down to frequencies that it sends to your body, and it's completely bad, and I mean, we have to take this back, just like we have to take back our skies so they can be blue again, and our economies and our lives and our independence and our freedoms in the end. In the Western world and everywhere, we lost all freedoms almost. So basically, it's time to take things back one piece at a time on so many fronts.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, I just wrote an article on my blog yesterday, and the upcoming possible collapse of the economy in February, but because there's a lot of signs, and there's nothing I would love more than the crash of the U.S. petrodollar, that's for sure. But if coming back to this subject at hand, I've seen you with a guitar, and I think you're pretty awesome on that. So explain to me, before we go to a little musical break, maybe a piece of a composition on the guitar. We could play? Can you provide maybe a musical piece on the guitar only?
Yes, I do. I have my newest album from September, so I can play.
Oh, okay. So, but before we go to that musical piece, explain to me how you tune your guitar before you play.
I basically depends on the piece, but I use fretless guitar without frets. So basically, I can pick any note in between two octaves. 12-tone equal temperament only uses 12 notes. I can use 1,200 notes that are 1 cent apart instead of. I did some testing with my friend from a musical academy. I can hear the difference between 1 cent. So basically, those are notes that I can use. So I have so many options and everything, but I basically tune it. Fretless guitar really comes to life when you tune it to oud tunings. Oud is very similar to guitar. Oud is used in Persia, in Persian music, in Arabic music, in Jewish music, and in Turkish music. And I use Turkish tunings for my fretless guitar mostly.
Oh, so interesting! I can't wait to hear it. So, what's the name of that musical piece on guitar you're providing right now?
Well, we'll play a musical piece called Blood and Soil. It's a piece that was written this summer and it's inspired by Israeli genocide in Palestine.
Oh, so let's listen to this right away, and we'll be back right after. Okay, and we're back. This is such a nice, beautiful piece, and I find the title intriguing, interesting, but intriguing. How did it come about, that title for the song? I mean, was it an emotional status because of what happened in Palestine? I mean, it was truly atrocious. But is it what inspired you? Those those calamitous events in the Gaza Strip. Is it what inspired you to compose this piece?
Yes, it did in a way. It was, first of all, it was quite horrible. But won't go into political details. What happened behind it? I lived through a war myself, and country where I live, and especially town where I live, Knin, Croatia. You can Google it. It's been in war for the last 2,000 years. Every 50 or so years, there's been blood spilling. You can't even make a new garage under fortress without digging up a body from a Turkish soldier or Roman soldier or Nazi soldier or Yugoslavian partisan. And I was really looking at that, and I was drinking coffee at the fortress, and I was looking around, and just that connection of blood and soil kind of spoke to me, how the blood everywhere, it's just filled, how soil everywhere is filled with blood, and how every bloodshed everywhere is horrible, the same, and being done by the same bunch of psychopaths and innocent people. And it was really something that connected me to it, because in a way I experienced something like that in the same manner as Palestinians did. So in a way it was such a sad thing that we're so disconnected with different cultures thanks to media and brainwashing, but only thing that connects us all is the blood spill and bloodshed, soaking soil with blood. It's a bit harder piece, but in a way it was that sadness, that realizing that that's the only thing that mostly connects us. So in a way that's kind of what inspired me to write it.
I see, but it's a beautiful, beautiful piece. I wish I could. I play a few notes on the guitar, but I never really owned a guitar. I had one for maybe half an hour, and I sold it because I had won it on a in a poker game. I wish I would have kept it. It was Yamaha 12 string, and it was like all black, and it was beautiful. But I didn't know how to play at the time, so I said, "What's the use?" So I sold it back. So, but maybe one day I'll get one, and I'll try to to learn. What software do you use to write your music? Do you use Sibelius, like the one you recommended for me?
Well, depends on musical piece. For example, I work on all sorts of music. I did film music, I made electroacoustic music, classical music, guitar music, band music, and it goes on and on. So basically, if I make music for ensembles or something like that, I'll write it on a piece of paper. Then I use Sibelius to write it down nicely so people can read it, so it's not all over the place and badly written, with my bad handwriting. If I write a guitar music piece, I'll just put a microphone on it and use my handy recorder to record it, my Zoom recorder. But if I'm recording band, I'll use Cubase so I can have more channels, or if I'm recording a musical piece that's actually that uses more instruments, I'm gonna use Cubase. So it depends. Also, and one more thing, if I'm writing electroacoustic piece, electroacoustic music is basically sub-genre of classical music, in a way, classical electronic music. Writing electronic music with a mindset of classical contemporary music. So I'll use C Sound. C Sound is C programming language for sound. It's a free software. It works on Mac, it works on Linux, it works on Windows, and you code the sound. You have the same way that you code the plugin for website or app or a piece of software. That in the same way you code sound, and once you render it, instead of getting exe file or executable, you get a wave file that's a sound. So that's interesting.
Oh, fascinating. I know I started using Sibelius, and I do write something right now, and it's taking a lot of my time. I'm quite busy here, but that's another story. Tell me, what other types of music? I mean, I believe I heard you say that you touched on a bit of Tibetan style, or Indian or Tibetan or something like that. Am I mistaken?
No. I was in the past. I played a little bit with Indian music and Arabic music too, but it's really hard because you need to spend your entire life to play Indian music right, and you really need an oral teacher to get it right. The same thing is with Arabic music. Textbooks don't work. You have to listen for all those microtones and microtonal ornaments within the notes. So basically, I realized I can't afford traveling to Turkey or Iran or somewhere to learn those musics like Persian or Arabic or Turkish or Indian, but I can borrow some elements that I can do on my own and incorporate it in it all. And basically, my new album that I'm working is gonna be all acoustic with acoustic bass, this santir bass, Moroccan santir bass that I built, percussion, flutes, little bit of guitar, and I really want to recreate music that's been lost for eons. In a way, imagine a bunch of cavemen playing acoustic music. That's what I want to recreate, something that's new and something that's ancient at the same time. So that's my next plan. So I'll incorporate elements of contemporary musical thinking and elements of ancient traditions all in one package. So we'll see how it goes. I'm making sketches and recordings for now. It should be done soon. So.
And what medium will you use to make it available for the public? I mean, will you use iTunes or some other medium to distribute your album?
I'll probably use Bandcamp, where people can find my music on Bandcamp. They can download it for free or pay $1 million for album. I don't sell my music. It's pay as much as you want, so you can put in 0 or you can put in 1 million. Put in 1 million, it's gonna help me. Just kidding. So basically, I'm mostly gonna post it there, and some pieces on SoundCloud, and some pieces on YouTube, and some pieces on Informed Planet for community. There are a few people like my music there, so I have to share with them.
I know you're working on a new website right now. How's it coming along?
Well, it's going okay. I'm still in process of collecting. I have 16 hours of music in total, so I'm going through archives, what to use, what not to use. I'm going through my scores, what to use, what not to use. I'm trying to write the proper biography. That's the biggest problem with me, writing a biography. I don't want to sound like stuck up idiot, so I'll have to find a balance with something. Writing biographies is really hard for me. I collected most of photos. I collected videos that I want to use. So few more days, week top, all the data should be finished, and then it's all a matter of putting everything together.
Okay, so you'll be able to provide us with the links to your Bandcamp, and I'm going to insert those in the YouTube version. I will upload after this podcast is over. It'd be very nice. Is it open, the Bandcamp account?
Yeah, yes, it is. You say it there, yes.
Okay, so just stay online after the show here, so I can. I can get those links, and I can provide those to the listeners on YouTube. Okay. I'd like to maybe take a little pause, and would you like to introduce another musical piece here?
Yes, we'll play one more for solo fretless guitar. It's called Hollow Oak. It's a piece of music that's basically inspired with my area and Balkan music.
Okay, so let's play this musical piece, and we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. So that was really, really nice. When you say fretless, that means there's no little separation on the handle of the instrument. Is that correct?
Exactly. Basically, it's just like cello or upright bass. My guitar doesn't use frets at all. It's it's a it's basically it's a flat surface, a fingerboard. So what you do is to basically instead of playing, like on a regular guitar, I can choose all the notes in between or have ornaments. You know, I can sing with the instrument instead just uh, pluck notes.
It's fascinating. I mean, I heard that little sound there. It like I had like goosebumps in my arms. I mean, it's so beautiful.
Just the impro, 5 second impro.
So that's really fascinating. Well, it was really, really nice talking with you, Jurica Jelic. I will provide a YouTube link. I will upload that video right today, and with the links to the those accounts, that Bandcamp, and maybe your YouTube channel as well. And it's going to be, people will be able to discover more of your musical pieces. So again, thank you very much for this podcast that we did together, and I really appreciate it. And we should soon, maybe after your album is out, maybe we could do another one.
Well, sure we can, and thank you, Jean-Francois, for having me. And it is a real pleasure doing this. I like to talk about music with people, and it's always nice. And yeah, as soon as the new album is finished, or maybe 5 pieces are done, we can pick you and talk about it a little bit more and everything.
For sure, for sure. Okay, well, thanks again. And, well, that's it for today, this podcast on January 21st, 2015. And this will play on Informed Planet Radio, and it will be posted on YouTube on my channel. So, once again, thanks everyone for listening, and have a great day.